Hello and welcome to my channel Making Crafts. Today I am back with a cat scrappiness design team project using the Pawsome Cats collection. So in this collection there is the Cat's Meow 6x6 paper pack, and this paper pack has a lot of adorable prints in it. It has 12 designs and 4 of each design. I'm also going to be using the Pawsome Cats stamp set and the Pawsome Cats sentiment stamp set. I also will be using the dies for the Pawsome Cat stamp set and the sentiment set, and then the fishbone stencil. So to get started on my card, I am using the Distressed Edge rectangle dies, and I'm using the next to the largest die, and I've cut my paper to 4 by 5, and then I've just used the die to cut out the shape. And so I'm just going to be using a piece of cardstock to make my A2 size card, and I'm just going to be folding it, and I like to use this Teflon bone folder from Cat Scrappiness just to press on the edge to get a nice crease in the fold. I'm also going to be using the Glitter Mousse by Cat Scrappiness, and this glitter mousse is the Bounty Mousse, and it's like a turquoisey color. Now you can see my stencil has already been used. I've been practicing and trying some different things, and what I found was in order to do what I wanted to do on this card, I needed to tape off a section so that it will be a clean section for some of my stamped pieces. So once I tape it down, now I'm using some very inexpensive washi tape. If you're going to use something and do the same thing, you'll need some washi tape that's very inexpensive and doesn't stick really hard, that won't tear your paper. Or they also have some masking stencil tape and things like that that you can get. So once I mask off the section of the rectangle that I want, then I'm just coming in with the glitter mousse and just adding it into my stencil. Now, I could not find my tool that I normally use with my paste. So today I'm just using this one, which I use it sometimes now. It's new to me, and I kind of like using it because it's so easy to clean it off. I forget what it's made out of, but it's really easy to wash up and clean up. So I'm just using it to get the paste into my fishbone stencil, and it's hard to see through the stencil where my paper is, so I'm just going to lift up the stencil and look underneath to make sure that I'm filling in all of the fish bones where my actual rectangle is. So I was kind of surprised how fast the mousse dries. It's not like something you have to wait 24 hours or overnight. At least it wasn't in my area where, in my weather. I know everybody's area is going to be different depending on their weather. But for me, I went and washed my stencil, did a few other things, come back, and it was dry. And it was not like an hour or two. I would say maybe 30 minutes at the most, but it really dries quickly. Now I'm sure in other climates it may take a little longer when it's cold or when it's rainy, or paste and stencil, different mixed media things do take longer to dry depending on your area. Even glues do. But I was surprised how quickly it dried. And so now it's time to do the reveal. So I just slowly pull the stencil up. I just want to make sure I don't mess up my little fish bones. And you can see I've covered the whole Distressed Edge rectangle. So I'm very impatient, so I'm not waiting for it to dry. You may want to wait for yours to dry, but I really wanted to pull the tape off before it had time to sit any time at all and get, super attached to my paper and then rip my paper when I pulled it off. So I'm just being very gentle, trying not to touch any of the fish bones because they are wet right now and it would mess it up. And so I'm just slowly pulling my washi off. Now, in between pulling the washi off, I did take a wipe and clean my fingers again to make sure that I didn't get anything on the card, because the washi does have a little bit of the glitter mousse on it, and so you will get on your fingers when you're pulling it off. So I love the reveal. I love the clean space, and so I like how this turned out. So now it's dry. I've already, washed my stencil off and gave it time to dry. And you want to make sure it's thoroughly dry before you do this, because you will make a big mess of it if it's not. But mine is dry, so I'm just taking a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to lay it on there, and then I'm just using some ink that I have, and this one has kind of an orange yellow tone to it, and so I'm just going to go in and brush in some of the ink onto my card base, or onto my rectangle base. And so I'm just lightly adding it at first, and then I'm going to take and I will make it darker around the corners and lighter towards the center. And so as I do this, you will see how it looks. I like to put darker on the outer edges where the stencil mousse, or I'm sorry, the glitter mousse is. And then in the center where I'm going to put my stamped images, I want it to be lighter. And I really like this yellow look with the turquoise. And I was kind of going off the paper pack because the paper I'm going to be using has some turquoise in it. And then there is some yellow fish bones in it. And so in the paper pack there is a lot of yellow and turquoise. So I decided that's the colors I wanted to go with. And I love these bright colors. So as you can see, I am getting the ink darker around the corners where the fish bones are, and then as I go in towards the center, I just make it a little lighter. And this is a very easy card to make, but I have a lot of fun just making cards and then trying different techniques and using different mixed media. And this was the first time that I used the glitter mousse, but I absolutely love it. I will be ordering more. I ordered this color and I ordered the gold color, I think is what it was, but I want to go back and order some more. I definitely want the black and a few of the other colors, because I think there's a lot you can do with it. Now I am coming back around the edge and just adding a little bit more ink around the edge just to frame out our little rectangle. And you can see here I've gone ahead and cut out, stamped and colored in the cat from the Pawsome Cat stamp set. And here is the paper from the paper pack that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4. Now I am going to be using the white card base that I showed you at the beginning, and then I'm going to layer this on top. And so I love that you have two prints on your paper. You know, one side's one print and one's the other. I love double-sided printed paper. And so I'm going to use both of the pieces, even the little piece that I cut off the edge, I'm going to use that as well. So I decided with all of this blue, I wanted a little bit more blue onto my distressed rectangle. So I'm just coming back in with a little bit of a turquoise ink, and I can't remember what color this one is. I think it might be peacock feathers or something like that. It's a Tim Holtz ink. And so I'm just coming in and I'm inking my papers, my design papers, as well as my distressed rectangle. And you can see here I've started to lay out some of the pieces from the stamp set, but I'm going to make a little change. I've decided I want to stamp onto this distressed rectangle. Now, this was the hardest part for me. I am terrible at stamping words. I don't know why. It's like I hold my head crooked or something, because my words are always crooked or some little something's wrong, I always feel like. So I'm taking my time with this. I'm using a little post-it note to cover up the cat that's on this stamp, because I just want the wording from Meow to you. And the cat's adorable, but it just didn't work for this card. So I just covered it up with a post-it note when I added the ink, pulled it back off, and now I'm stamping it onto my card. And I think it turned out perfect there. I was really excited that it worked, because I had went through all the trouble of stenciling, and then I was like, oh no, what if I totally mess up this whole piece? Because originally I had planned on just popping up, die cutting it out and just popping it up, but I wanted to stamp onto the card base. So I'm coming back with a little bit more of the blue ink just around the corners, again, like where I used the darker yellow, I'm using the darker blue now. And then I'm just going to layer my 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece onto my white card base. And I'm going to use like the little polka dotted side for the background. And then the strip that I cut off, I'm going to use that as well, but I'm going to use the other print on it, the little fishbone print side. I'm going to use that showing on the front. I kind of just made this card up as I went, kind of seeing what I wanted to add and how I wanted to do it. So I made some changes as I went along. But I love these two together right here, the polka dots and then this fishbone paper. So once I have those layered on, I'm just going to glue the distressed rectangle on top of that as well. And then I'm going to bring in some of my stamped images. So I have stamped and die cut the cat, the little yarn ball, the fish bowl, or not the fish bowl, excuse me, the water bowl. I keep calling it a fish bowl, but it's a water bowl, and then the little paw print. And so I stamped those out, I die cut those, and I colored them in with some alcohol markers. And then I'm just going to pop those up on the card. So I'm just using some foam tape to pop those up. And I think this little cat is so adorable. He's absolutely adorable. And this time I colored him with the orange and white, but I also have one where I've colored him in with gray and a darker gray, and I think he looks really cute too. I think you can color him all different colors. And so now I'm just going to pop up the yarn and the water ball and the paw print just around the wording. And I really love how this turned out. It's a quick little card, but it was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of fun to play with the glitter mousse. So I'm going to do just like I do with all my other little cards. I'm going to come in with the scraps and add a banner on the inside just to decorate it up. Now I'm not stamping the inside of this one yet because I'm not really sure. I think this one might be one that I just write a note inside, but I have thought about adding from Meow to You on the outside and then happy birthday on the inside. But for now I'm going to leave it blank because it may just be one that I add in with a package that I send to someone and I just leave a note on the inside. So I know it's hard to tell on camera, but the glitter mousse has such a neat texture to it that it adds to your card. And I really love how this card turns out. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this quick tutorial on how I created this card, and I will link below to all of the products in the Cat Scrappiness shop. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.